Hi guys, Brian here, and welcome to another video. This is going to be another more open-ended one. Not like a rant, but I'm just going to kind of be more open-ended with what I'm talking about. It's not going to be about specific perks or specific gaming strategies, mentalities, or anything. I'm just going to be talking about how I felt with the game lately and the community with the game. Because as somebody who's played this game for 2 years and about 3,000 hours, time and time again, it always seems to be the community that I am most shocked by and most alarmed by. In terms of the game itself, there's a lot of frustrating things, and I've built a whole channel off of talking about those frustrating things that happen to be inside the game. And I've done that time and time again, and we've been doing this for a long time. This YouTube thing with the DBD and the issues in DBD and the good things about DBD, like we've been doing this for a long time. And in my long time doing this, nobody's ever come to a consensus or agreed. Matter of fact, there are some people who quite literally follow this channel in order to just disagree with me on every single video, to like quite literally like watch every video and immediately type up an "I don't agree with this" response. So like, and that's okay. It's a very contentious game in the sense that like there are two sides that are incredibly vastly different and see things incredibly differently based on their own personal experiences. And then like the way somebody who's like a 3,000 hour killer sees the game versus somebody who's like a 300 hour killer sees the game is like vastly different. So even in our own like preferred sides of the game, we're getting these like vastly different like experiences and thoughts, right? So I expect to some extent there to be a lot of dissenting opinions with each other, even those that try to, you know, for the most part, see the game from both sides and try to, you know, see the game as clearly as they possibly can. There's gonna be a lot of dissenting opinions with that. But there is one thing that I've noticed above all else that I think is one of the worst habits that this game has, that the community does, and it worries me deeply, and it's probably the thing that kind of stresses me out the most in terms of the game. And that's that everybody outrages every single time there's any sort of change to the game, proposed change to the game, is that everybody outrages. I can't tell you how many times this is going to be the patch that kills DBD, or this is going to be the perk introduced that's going to ruin the game. This is going to be the character introduced that's going to ruin the game. I have heard that for almost every chapter I have been privy to playing in Dead by Daylight. And I'm not exaggerating. I really have heard that almost every single chapter that I have played in DBD. I've heard someone say that this is going to make me quit the game. This is going to kill the game. This is going to drive people away in droves. Now, there are some patches where that has been true. The Twins patch really did break half the characters in the game, broke half the perks in the game. That patch was a nightmare. So was the mid-chapter patch after that, where that was the killer desync, where they were hitting people super far away. The Nemesis chapter almost killed the game because console players couldn't play the game. Because the stuttering, you think the stuttering is bad now. If you were around for the Nemesis chapter, console players basically couldn't play the game because the lag was so bad. And it took them forever to fix that. And then there was the Pinhead situation, where they released Pinhead, you bought Pinhead, and then they told you afterwards that they were involved with NFTs. Now, Behavior wasn't directly involved with NFTs, but what they did do is in order to get licenses to the characters, they let Boss Protocol make NFTs using the Pinhead model that they had. So while they didn't do it directly, they knew that was going to happen and let it happen. So that was kind of a doozy, and that drove a lot of people out of the game. But that's 4 instances that I've played in the past 2 years where the patches actually were worrisome. And there was actually a major like scare in terms of like player count and major changes to the game that were negative. But that's kind of like it over the 2 years that I've played this game. But every patch is going to break the game. Every patch is supposedly going to make everybody quit, ruin the game, and DBD will finally die. People have been saying that every single patch for 2 years straight that I've played this game, and probably have been saying it way more since before that. But I can't attest to that because I wasn't personally there for that. And I think that like to a certain extent that's okay. Like if you want to sit in your little corner and you want to like whine and cry and flip out, like you do you, fam. Like if you want to be a negative Nancy and cry and whine and complain about everything, like I don't think that's healthy for you, but like you do you, like you do whatever, you know, free will and all that stuff. I think it comes to the point where like you force me to be negative, and I think that's one of the things that like I detest about this community, is that like it's not enough that like you feel negative and you hate the game and you think the game's going to be killed this patch. It's that you like, it's like you need to make sure somebody else feels that way. You have to control, like it's not enough that you are, you know, creating the super negative narrative, which is likely not true. You're also gotta like, you have to suck other people into it, and then you get really aggressive and mad and nasty to people when they don't agree with your side of things. Like I will tell anybody, forced positivity does nothing. Forcing people to like a game that they don't like or have issues with is not good. But also, forcing people to hate a game when they don't have issues with it is also a very, very, very not cool thing to do. That is a jerk. That is a jerk that does that. And this community is ripe with those kind of people with that kind of mentality, where they're trying to like, well, if you don't mind a patch that's coming out, or you don't mind this character that's coming out, or if you don't think X killer is broken. I've had people like get mad at me because I say Dredge is B tier, and I've had both kinds of people. I've had people get mad at me both ways, mad. I've had people get mad both ways about that. I've had people get mad at me because they're like, well, Dredge is S tier and he's got the best anti-loop in the game, and you're undervaluing him on purpose because you play him and you like him. And then I've had people say, like, no, he's actually really bad. Get him on Rotten Fields and you have no lockers, you're toasted. He's very map based. How dare you put him in B tier? I've had people get mad at me for both. And that's the defining factor is like, well, A, that's weird because like one of these has to be the truth, right? Like it can't be both at the same time. So people have vastly different opinions about the game despite playing the same game, which is already its own issue. But then B, it's like the frustration, and then you get mad with like my takes with like that sort of situation. Or you get mad that I even say that, because it doesn't match what your narrative is that you're pushing. You're pushing the narrative that Dredge is S tier, you're pushing the narrative that Dredge is like D tier, and because I don't sign to that, that makes me bad, and I deserve to be like harassed, yelled at, or left a passive aggressive comment. Like it's like, but yeah, it's essentially been like every single patch is the worst patch, and it just like, I just want to put it in perspective, right? That like, I'm not asking you to be positive about anything, but kind of just like have the perspective that like this community, by and large, is an incredibly negative community who sees the worst in just about everything. And to kind of just, I guess, just reserve judgment and hold out for the actual changes themselves to come through. Whether that be the PTB or the actual live servers, because that's when we'll actually know how things are carried out and how things are going. So that's kind of where I feel like most people should be in this situation, because, like I said, been around the block a lot with this game, been around for a while, and every patch is the worst patch out there. And obviously that hasn't been true. I listed 4 patches that I think actually kind of fit a very perilous and sucky situation, but you know, you never know. If everybody says it, like everybody said, every single patch has been the worst one, and out of 2 years there's only been 4 that have been like incredibly problematic from like my experience. So I don't know, maybe try to be a little bit more try to see things more as they are, and not kind of buy into the community's kind of like perilous outrage mentality that they have, where everything is the worst, the game is always dying, and every patch is going to make the game progressively worse till it dies off. Like, try not to buy into that kind of like that doomsaying. It's like, that's literally what it is. It's like doomsaying. It's like those people that like you know, like in those like medieval movies and games where they like stand on the street corners like, the end is coming, the end is here, this will be the death of all. That's like so much of the DBD community, and I've just been hearing that for 2 years straight. And like everybody thought when like DS the conspicuous action mechanic came to DS, everybody thought that that was going to be the end of DBD. They thought tunneling is going to be more powerful than ever, and killers are just going to be tunneling every single match, as if they weren't already tunneling every single match, and that it was just going to ruin the whole game and everybody would quit and leave and nobody would ever play again. As you can see, that clearly didn't happen. That clearly didn't happen. Everybody kept playing, and most people will probably keep playing even after this next patch comes out. So yeah, so try to not buy into the doomsaying and the wailing and the outrage culture that exists around this game, and try to be a little bit more healthy minded. A lot of terrible things have been happening in the real world lately. A lot of really, really sucky things. So a lot of people are experiencing a lot of turbulence right now. So if you could be kinder and a little bit more cautious with your aggressively negative feelings, I feel like that would do a lot of good for the people around you. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. It's more of like a mentality community discussion, but yeah, I think it's an important one to have. So yeah, thank you so much for hearing me out. Hopefully you have a better day than a lot of people are having bad situations right now. Hopefully you have a good day, friendo. Hopefully I will see you tomorrow next video, but if I do not, I will see you when I see you, friends. Goodbye.